All right, so today we're diving into something pretty major. We're talking Paul Pogba.
Pogba, yeah.
For anyone who needs a quick refresher, we're talking a World Cup winner with France back in 2018, known for his incredible skills on the pitch
Oh, yeah.
and off the pitch too, right? With that hairstyle always keeping things interesting.
Definitely can't forget about the hair. But lately, it's been more about the headlines and not the good kind, unfortunately.
Yeah, not good at all. We're talking about the ban, of course. Positive test for a banned substance shook the whole football world.
It did. And this interview, this is his first big chance to really respond since it all went down.
First time speaking directly to the public, and he knew exactly what he was doing, going with Sky Sports for this one. Huge platform.
Absolutely. This is Pogba trying to steer the narrative. It's
Mm-hmm.
damage control, but it's also strategic. He has to own up to the ban, yeah, but he's also got to lay the groundwork for a comeback.
He has to walk that tightrope.
Exactly.
And he comes right out and does it right off the bat, admits to taking the supplement, doesn't dance around it.
Nope.
But then he says he didn't triple check the ingredients, didn't look into it as much as he should have, even though it came from someone he thought was a professional.
And that's where things get really tricky. Because in pro sports, and especially at Pogba's level, there's this thing called strict liability, which is a minefield.
Strict liability, okay. I've heard that term thrown around, but to be honest, I'm a little fuzzy on what it actually means.
Basically, it means that for athletes in these top tiers, it often doesn't even matter if you knew you were taking something banned.
Whoa, really?
If it's in your system, you're responsible. Full stop.
So even if Pogba genuinely thought this was just a regular health supplement, like he claims, it doesn't matter.
Not in the eyes of the sport, no.
Yeah.
And that's why I can't help but wonder if this whole professional angle, this person, he says, gave him the supplement, if that's part of a bigger legal strategy, even if he's not saying it directly.
It's giving very much I messed up, B-U-T.
Exactly. And then there's the big elephant in the room, the supplement itself.
And a mystery supplement.
Exactly. He's incredibly vague about what it actually was. Keeps mentioning some document, this document that supposedly proves he's in the clear.
Right, but we have no idea what this document says. Is it public?
Right. What's in it that's so crucial? That vagueness, it just raises more questions, doesn't it? Was it a performance enhancer? Was it something totally different? He claims it wasn't for injury recovery, wasn't for boosting his game, just general health. But without specifics, it's hard to know what to believe.
And that's got to be one of the toughest parts for him, right? Like you said earlier, perception matters as much as the facts in these situations.
Oh, absolutely. Public opinion, it's everything.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, once that seed of doubt is planted, it's hard to shake. We've seen it happen time and time again with athletes. Careers derailed by accusations, even if they're later cleared.
So you're saying even if this supplement turns out to be totally innocent, Pogba's still dealing with a PR nightmare on top of the ban itself.
It's a real possibility, and it's something he's going to have to navigate very carefully.
Man, that's rough. But what really got to me in the interview was hearing him talk about the emotional fallout.
Yeah.
You can hear it in his voice, the shock, the self-doubt. He even mentions turning to faith for support, which I have to admit I wasn't expecting.
It's actually more common than people might think, especially with athletes facing these career-defining moments. These are people whose bodies are their livelihoods, their routine, their training. It's also regimented. And then something like this happens, throws their entire world into chaos. And then you add the public scrutiny on top of that.
Right.
The mental strain is immense.
It's a lot to handle. And he talks about feeling lost, questioning everything, heavy stuff. But then he talks about his family, specifically his kids. That's where I really felt for him.
It's that human element, right? Sometimes we forget that these global superstars, at the end of the day, they're still human beings. They've got families, they've got vulnerabilities, just like the rest of us.
Totally. And when your world gets rocked like that, like Pogba's was, it makes sense that family becomes the anchor. And it's interesting because he could have easily just glossed over that part of the interview,
Right.
kept it surface level. But he gets really honest about how important his family was, his kids especially, during those months when he was banned, how they helped him through it.
And what's really striking is that it sounds like that forced break, even though it was obviously a terrible situation, but that time away from the game allowed him to connect with his family on a deeper level.
He actually says something like that being there for his kids more, being more present, that was the one good part of the whole ordeal,
Wow.
which I thought was really powerful.
It is. And it speaks to that potential for growth,
Mhm.
Finding the silver lining, even when things are incredibly tough.
Yeah.
Doesn't excuse the mistake, obviously. but it shows a different side of him, a willingness to reflect, to learn from the experience.
Okay, but we've got to talk about the future because for any athlete, especially at Pogba's level, it always comes back to the game.
Always.
So what did he say about actually getting back on the pitch?
Well, he made it clear that his top priority right now is Juventus.
Okay, which makes sense. That's his current club.
Right. And he seems genuinely committed to them. You can hear that drive in his voice when he talks about getting back to training, getting his fitness back up, earning his place back in the squad. He even said, my main focus right now is to get back training, to get fit, and to be on the pitch and do what I love.
He's hungry. You can hear it.
Absolutely. But there's been a lot of speculation about other leagues, too. A potential return to the Premier League. Manchester United, even.
Did he address any of that?
He did. And I got to say, it was a masterclass in diplomacy. Didn't rule anything out, but didn't make any promises either. When they asked him about other leagues, I think he said something like, this is where I am. I will see with them what they're thinking, what their vision is.
Smart, very calculated.
Exactly. He's keeping his options open, which makes sense considering his contract situation and all the uncertainty around the ban.
Right, but you can still tell he's ambitious. Still has that fire to compete at the highest level.
Oh, absolutely.
I think he literally said, I'm back, I'm ready, and I'm still Paul Pogba.
And that confidence really shines through when they ask him about his fitness, how long it'll take him to get back in top form.
Yeah, that's the big question, right?
He acknowledges the challenge, of course. He hasn't played competitively in months, but he emphasizes his work ethic, how dedicated he is to coming back stronger than ever. I think he even said, I have to be ready.
But even with all that hard work, all that dedication, is it really enough? Can Pogba bounce back from this? Can he really rewrite his story after something like this?
It's the question, isn't it? The million-dollar question. Because anybody can say they've changed, they're a new person, blah, blah, blah. But in football, it's all about what you do on the pitch. Yeah. Week in, week out, season after season. It's about proving it.
Actions speak louder than words.
Always. And then there's the bigger question, too. Can talent really outweigh everything else? Can it erase the mistakes? Especially in a sport where your reputation, your image, it's everything.
It's got to be tough. And honestly, I feel like Pogba gets that. You can tell, even in this interview, he knows he messed up. He even says, pretty much outright, that he has to earn back his place. And not just at Juventus either.
Right. He specifically mentioned the French national team, too.
Which is huge. I mean, that's his chance to defend their World Cup title.
Exactly. And he didn't shy away from that pressure, didn't act like that spot is just waiting for him. He knows he's got to earn it, just like he has to earn back the trust of the fans.
So maybe this whole ban, as awful as it's been, maybe it was the wake-up call he needed.
It's possible. And that's where this whole Pogba 2.0 thing comes in.
Right, because we've heard that before.
Yeah.
Athlete makes a mistake, goes through the ringer, comes out the other side saying they're a changed person.
It's practically a cliche at this point.
So the real question is, will this time be different? Will we actually see it?
Will we see that change on the pitch, off the pitch? Is this the turning point?
Because it's one thing to say you're hungrier, more appreciative, but how does that actually play out when you're Paul Pogba? Global icon, scrutinized every second of the day.
It's a different kind of pressure.
Absolutely. So what do you think? What's your prediction? Is this newfound drive enough? Can he silence the doubters? Can he reach that next level, maybe even surpass what he's already done?
Honestly, I don't know.
Well,
And I think that's the most exciting part. We get to watch it unfold. We get to see what Pogba does with his second chance.
because that's the beauty of sports, right? That element of uncertainty, you never know what's going to happen.
Exactly. It's a story that's still being written.
And as for whether the fans, the pundits, everyone watching, whether they give him that second chance, well, that's a whole other question.
It is. One that only time will answer, really. But one thing's for sure. Paul Pogba, he's at a crossroads now. This ban, this whole situation, it forced him to confront some hard truths. And how he responds, how he chooses to move forward, that's what will define his legacy.
Will he be remembered as the player who let one mistake derail his incredible talent, or as the player who rose above it all, the comeback kid? I guess we'll see.
We will. That's the beauty of it all, isn't it? That potential for redemption.
Yeah.
That hope that anything is still possible, and that's keeps us coming back for more.